여기서 뭐 하는 거냐?
Hey, Cosma. There we go. Let's make sure I can read everything. Pop out the chat here. There we go. Perfect. How's it going? Is it? I see on the sound settings that it shows normal. I'll close it and go back out? I don't know. Is it still like too loud? I'll close it and go back in. It doesn't sound too loud for me, and I see it looks okay.
여기서 뭐 하는 거냐?
Should be okay. Am I too loud? The music might be a bit too loud, you think? I can turn it down a bit. What? Do I actually have to... You actually have to restart the game? Just ask me if I want to save. Okay, anyway. Alright, we can work with it. 여기서 뭐 하는 거냐? It's very easy to translate, I'm sure. What are you doing here? Very straightforward because it's called... Yeah. I see, looks like... Three or four people are watching. Say hi if you're watching. You don't have to. I won't bug you.
함부로 들어오지 말라고 했을 텐데.
함부로 들어오지 말라고 했을 텐데. come in. So I told you. I'm sure I told you not to come in. 했을 텐데. I'm sure I told you. 함부로, like on your own without permission. That's what it means. Like just doing whatever you want. And then the tende form. This is the perfect usage of tende because this really shows when you use tende or tenika. Tende and tenika are the same form, just a different ending, but the usage is exactly the same. It's just for when you're saying something like, you're making an assumption about something, you're making a guess about something like, I think. But an easier way I found to translate it, I realized this a few years ago, but an easier way to translate is just, I'm sure. Because even though it's not really, you're not really saying, I'm sure, like I am certain I did that, but you're saying I assume in a strong way. So I'm sure I must have told you, or I must have done something like that. So I'm sure I told you don't come in here on your own. Anyway, if you know that, that's the easiest way because that captures the exact feeling that tende and tenika have. And the tenika is just the same with the because meaning. So it's like, because I'm sure, like I'm sure I told you that, so, or I'm sure this, so, the tenika because of that. But yeah.
죄송해요. 햄스터 소리가 궁금해서.
I'm sorry. I was just hamster 소리. I heard basically the sound of the hamsters. 궁금하다 is curious. Basically, the sound of the hamsters was curious is what it literally means, but it's more like I was just curious about I heard the hamsters and I was just curious, and that's what it means. And the English translation says, I'm sorry, I heard the hamsters and... Actually, yeah, that's a good translation.
혹시 밴드 갖고 계세요? 햄스터가 물었는데 꽤 아프네요, 얘네.
혹시 밴드 텐데. Yeah, it's so useful, but I found like it's not so useful until you can figure out when you would use it yourself. I mean, I was using it before I fully understood what it means because I heard it a lot. But if you don't have that opportunity to live in Korea and hear it a lot, just think of it as meaning like I'm sure that, like, oh, I'm sure. Like when you think something like you're sure of it, you're not really sure, but you're saying like, oh, I was sure of that, or I'm sure of this. That's what it's for. So anytime you feel like that. It also has another usage, which is when you're saying, don't worry about something, I'll take care of it. You would use it like 내가 할 테니까, like 내가 그거 걱정하지 말고 내가 도와줄 테니까, because I'm going to do something. So because I'm going to do something, in which case you don't really translate it as like, oh, I'm sure I'm going to take care of that, but it's more like, hey, don't worry because. That's more of a specific use case though, where you can just remember anytime you're going to tell someone, don't worry because I'm going to do something. That specific use case, you also use tenika. But other than that, I think it's better just to think of it as meaning I'm sure, because that's when it gets used most often. Benda is a band-aid. Though they don't say a brand name. Oh, actually they do. There's a Tail Benda. It's a brand name version, Tail. Because they have like Dale bands is like kind of like the equivalent of a band-aid in Korean if you say that, like the brand name. But other than that, Benda is what you say. Kakuese, do you have a band-aid by chance? 햄스터가 물었는데 the hamster bit me and 꽤 아프네요. It kind of hurts. Let's see.
물려.
What? You got bit? Though literally it's you get bit. 물리다, to be bit. It's like, what? You're bit? Someone paying for someone's meal. Yeah, the specific use case of don't worry, don't stress, you don't need to do something, blah, blah, blah. I will take care of it. If you're ever trying to express, I'll do it, or someone will do it, so don't worry about it. Like, it's good, it's being taken care of. If you want to convey that exact situation, that exact feeling, like it's being taken care of, so don't worry about it. That's also tenika. Specifically, tenika is what you'll hear it with. Other than that, though, like I said, because usually that's what most teachers will start by explaining when you use tende and tenika, but then it's confusing because you hear it used without any sort of like 걱정하지 마세요, like don't worry or anything. It's not used with a command, but it's just used by itself, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
네, 저기 까맣고 빨갛기도 한 쟤한테.
Yeah, over there, the 까맣고 빨갛기도 한, the 쟤, that guy, that hamster. 쟤 doesn't really have to mean a person, it can just mean a thing. So that dude, that one dude that is black and red. Yes, the blackish reddish one. It bit me is the English translation. The reason it says bit in the English but not in here is because ante. Ante is to someone or from someone, but when you're talking about passive verbs, in this case we're talking about 물리다, to be bitten, passive verbs to mark what you were done something by a person, it's going to be the to or from a person particle. That will be 에게 or ante. If it's not a person, you're not going to use that. Instead you're going to use just a, like to, right? So just keep that in mind. Anytime you're talking about by, like I was hit by, I was hurt by, I was bit by, that by is going to be a for an inanimate object and 에게 or ante for a person. Or 게 if you're talking about a honorific, but
확실히 저놈이야.
oops, it's already skipped. But anyway, actually, I can go back.
듣자마자
Oops.
연구실 문을 잠그고
Let's go back.
절
Oh, it
붙잡았어요.
already skipped. Anyway, but what he said is, you're sure? You're sure it was him? 물렸다는 말을 듣자마자, as soon as he heard 듣자마자 that I was bit. Let me go back here. 연구실 문을 잠그고, so he locked the research room and 절 붙잡았어요, and he kept me there. Or 붙잡다 is like held me. So he held me there, locked in the room. This 듣자마자, as soon as he heard that. So as soon as he heard I was bitten, he locked the room and held me in there.
그리고 물도 음식도 주지 않고 이틀 동안 절 묶어두고.
And he left me there. 절 묶어두고. He left me there, tied. 물도, even water, 음식도, even food, 주지 않고, didn't even give me water or food, 이틀 동안, for 2 days. So, when you're counting days, the typical way is with 일. So, 일, 2일, 3일, 4일, 5일, 6일, just like that, exactly. Zero exceptions. 6일, 10일, 20일, 100일. But there's an alternate version for the days 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are very common. 하루 and 이틀 are like, absolutely, you need to know those. But you'll also hear 사흘 and 나흘 from older people. Like I'd say people who are in their 40s, above 40s, you definitely will hear these. But younger people these days don't use 사흘 and 나흘. That's from an older Korean word that was, I believe, for day, not 일, but And 3 and 4 aren't as necessary. And then they have more for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've actually done a video about them. There's one for 15 that you might hear, and there's one for like 30. But if you just learn 하루 and 이틀, you're good. That's like 99% of cases, that'll take care of you. And then just switch back to the regular system for the other days. But these are really commonly used for lower number days, just because 일일 is kind of hard to say, and 이일 is kind of like confusing. You mean 2 days. You can say 일 동안, but it's more common to say 이틀. And you can say 일 동안, but it's more common to say 하루. Hey, small.
계속 감금해뒀어요.
He kept me locked up. And the English translation says, and kept me locked up. Perfect.
혹시 선생님이 널 아니, 부적절한 행위를 하거나 그러진 않았니?
By chance, did the teacher 건드리다 is like to touch, but it could also be like bother or to mess with something. Like you might tell someone, hey, don't mess with that. You'd use 건드리지 마. Like don't mess with it, as in that. But she's like, did he by chance touch? But she didn't want to ask, so she says, no, wait. 아니. 아니 is like not really no. It's like what we would say in English where we're thinking about what to say again. We're like, oh, wait. I mean, it's more of like an I mean, like hold on, like I'm thinking. 부적절하다 is to be inappropriate. So like 행위 would be like an action or something. So 하거나 그러지 않았니? Did he do anything like inappropriate, or is what she changes her question into?
아니요. 그냥 의자에 묶어두기만 했어요.
No. He just kept me tied to the 의자, to the chair. Hey, Kenneth. Cool. Yeah, I won't force anyone to interact. Just happy to have you. I'm just always curious who's watching. It's like there'll be like 6 people sometimes watching, and like one person talking, like, oh, who are the other 5 people? Like, say hi. You don't have to talk, but I just want to know. Okay. 선생님은 그나마 다행이라는 뜻, 낮게 안도의 한숨을 내뱉었다. So, 안도의 한숨. You can actually memorize this as an expression. 안도의 한숨 is like a sigh of relief. 숨 is a breath. 안도 is relief. And 내뱉다 is to let out. Like, 뱉다 by itself would be like spit. but 내뱉다 is like spit out or let out. So let out a sigh of relief. Low side, a soft or low, small, however you want to say it. As if 다행이라는 뜻, as if she was relieved. Like 다행이다. Like, oh, that's great. That's fortunate. That's good. 그나마 is like at least, but it can have a few other meanings, but we'll just leave it like that. So the teacher let out a sigh of relief, like a soft sigh of relief, like she was relieved. Let's see the English translation. Miss Park let out a small sigh of relief, as though she was thankful that it wasn't anything more serious. Okay, that's fine.
아니다. 더 있었어요.
Wait, there was more. This one probably doesn't need any translation help.
뭐?
What?
주사기로 제 피를
주사기로 제 피를. So she's implying 제 피를 took her blood with a 주사기 is a needle, like specifically those injection needles is what it is. Not a regular needle, like a sewing needle is not 주사기, but this type of needle is. Sewing needle would be 바늘.
피를 4번 정도 뽑아갔어요.
피를 뽑다 is to take blood. So 뽑아가다, take and go. So like he took, not that he just extracted her blood, but he took her blood and then went somewhere with it. He took it somewhere. 4번 정도, about 4 times. 4번. If you ever see me like move my hand over to the side, I have the English translation on the side so I can refer to it in case we get really long sentences that take forever. So I'm just making sure we're caught up.
피를 왜?
Your blood, but why? Oh, that's that's the English translation. Blood, but why? I was just joking, but
모르겠어요. 조금 전에도
I don't know. Even a little while ago as well, implying he also took blood just a little while ago. 조금 전에, a little while ago, just a little bit ago, really recently. Cosmo said, I also saw this expression, 안도의 한숨을 쉬다. Yeah, that's to sigh with relief. The 숨을 내뱉다 is to let out a sigh of relief. So do you want to say just that you sighed with relief, or you let out a sigh of relief? It's just a different type of expression. Like 내뱉다 is like, because like I said, 뱉다 is like spit, so like 내뱉다 is like, whereas 숨을 쉬다 is just, it's more like maintained here, whereas 내뱉다 is like let it out. So I guess a nuance difference.
무서워요. 무서워요, 선생님.
Okay, we don't have to translate for you. 무서워요. I'm scared, teacher.
그래, 그만 생각하자. 이제 괜찮아.
그래, okay, fine. 그만, something can be used to say stop doing something. So like, 그만 생각하자. Let's stop thinking about that. 이제 괜찮아. You're okay now.
온조야, 물 미지근해.
온조, 물 미지근하다. 미지근하다 is lukewarm. So not hot, but not cool. You know what it is. You know what lukewarm is. Yeah. Wait, what? This English translation said the water's too warm. What the heck? Why are they saying the water's too warm? I think they meant to. I think that's a typo. I think they meant to write the water's not warm anymore. The water's cold, is what we would say in English, right? If it's no longer hot, we'd say, "Oh, it got cold," even if it's not cold. So I think that was a translation error over there. But anyway, 미지근하다, I can't say anything, is lukewarm. So it's like it's not cold. I mean, sorry, not hot, but not cold. So it's like you want it to be warm.
새로 받아올게.
Okay. 새로. Anew. Again. You can translate as like doing something again. Like doing something fresh. Like getting started over with something. 받아오다. To get something. 받다. 오다. And come back. So literally, I 받아올게 is I will get it and come back. But in English, we would say I'll go get it, right? We don't really say like I'm coming back when we say I'll go do something. Yeah, I'll go to the store. Yeah, we mean 갔다 올게. I'll go there and come back in Korean. So just note that you'll see a lot of expressions with 오다 attached to the verb, which means I'll go do something, implying like I'm coming back after. Like I'll be right back. I'll go get it. I'll go change the water. I do have one complaint with this game. Like nothing's happening so far. I'm kind of waiting for something to happen, but I guess I'm moving through it slowly, so we're still at the beginning. I just want some cool stuff to happen. Did she step on something, or did it's? I sounded like there was a mouse or something.
왜 그래 이사가?
What's wrong, 이삭?
얘가 날 물었어.
She bit me. She bit me, and that really hurt. That hurted. Ow, ow. She bit me.
죽일 거야.
Who is saying this? Is this that girl that was like that we were helping? I'll kill you. 죽일 거야. Let's see. I saw the English translation first. Let's see if the Korean matches it. If they're gonna say there's a swear word coming up.
죽일 거야, 개자식.
Okay, not really.
갈갈이 찢어 죽이고 말 거야.
죽일 거야. I'm not gonna say the word, but it's not a swear word per se, but it's a strong word. We'll just say it's a... I can't even say the alternate word. There's another word that starts with B that's not the swear word that rhymes with kind of like custard that starts with a B. That's maybe a better translation for it. It's not that strong, but anyway. 갈갈이 찢다 is like into shreds. So you'll use it to get like 갈갈이 찢다, or there's a few other expressions like how you're going to rip something. But 찢어 죽이고 말 거야. I'm going to kill you and rip you to pieces. That's kind of what she's saying. I don't know who's saying this. I guess this is the zombie girl or whatever, the girl that was... I think it is. 갑자기 현주가 난동을 부리기 시작했다. Hold on. Okay, suddenly Hyunju, okay, so it is the girl that we're helping. She started to 난동 부리다, like... Let me get a translation for that. I don't even know how I translate that. Not this. Acting up, I think I would say. I can't find a translation. It's saying like make a scene or temper tantrum. It's not that. I think it's like acting up. Started acting wild or acting disorderly. Maybe. Not this happening after you say you want something to happen. Yeah, I wanted something to happen. I was like, I'm getting bored. I was like, I hope someone like bites someone or attacks someone, and yeah, I got my wish. 제대로 걷지도 못했던 그 아이가 맞나 싶을 정도로. So, 맞나 싶을 정도. Okay, actually we can translate first. So, 제대로, properly, 걷다, to walk properly. 걷지도 못했던 그 아이. So, the girl, in this case, I is just kid, but it's referring to her. The girl who couldn't even properly walk, who couldn't even walk right, her 아까 맞나? Is that really her? So we can look up to here in the sentence to translate it. 제대로 걷지도 못했던 그 아이가 맞나? Think of it like that. Is it really that girl who couldn't even walk right? 싶다, to wonder in this case. It has a few meanings. It can mean to think. It can mean to wonder. It can also mean to want when it's used with 고싶다, but outside of the 고싶다, it just means to want, to wonder or to think. So it's like a thinking. I mean, in every usage, it has to do with your thoughts, but 싶을 정도로. 정도 is to the extent that. So to the extent that I was wondering, 싶다, is this 맞나? Is this really that girl who couldn't even walk properly? It was so bad. It was... Anyway, well, you get the idea. It was so much that I couldn't even... The amount that she was acting disorderly was so much that it made me think. So much that I thought, is this really the girl who couldn't even walk properly? Okay, there's your translation. The English translation, let's see. The very girl who had trouble walking by herself not too long ago. They didn't even translate the 싶을 정도로 part, but whatever, it still makes sense. But that's what the actual grain says. 격렬한 몸부림이었다 was having violent writhing. So it was like a violent writhing so much that I was wondering, is this really the same girl who couldn't even walk properly?
죽일 거야. 가만두지 않을 거야, 개새끼.
Okay, well that's a swear word. Before I was like, yeah, it's not that bad, but yeah, here's a kind of swear word. 죽일 거야, you got that. Okay, 가만두다 is to leave alone, but it's... You can think of it as like let someone off the hook. Or forgive someone. I'm not gonna leave this be. The English translation, they didn't even translate that, but I'm not gonna... Yeah, I think I said a translation that made sense and I can't remember what I just said. I'm not just gonna leave things as they are. You... that's definitely like a B word, and then... after that.
현주야, 왜 그래? 무슨 일이야?
Hyunju, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Why are you like this, Hyunju? 무슨 일이야? What's up? What's wrong? What's going on?
보건 선생님, 왜 이런 거죠?
보건 선생님, that's the nurse. 왜 이런 거죠? What's going on here? Why 이런 거죠? 왜 이래? Basically, why is she like this?
모르겠어요. 상태가 점점 나빠지는 것 같아요.
I don't know. Her 상태, her condition. 점점, more and more, gradually. 나빠지다, to get bad. So 나빠지는 것 같아요. I think her condition's gradually... I think she's getting worse, basically. I think she keeps getting worse. 점점 is like... that sort of image. Teacher's gonna get bit. Yeah, why are they all standing so close to her? They're both gonna get bit. Nurse and the teacher. I think the teacher can get bit, then she can become a zombie teacher. That'd be kind of cool. Zombie nurse, less cool, because she's got to give medicine. She's got to do her job. But zombie teacher, that could be cool. So I vote that the teacher gets bit if I make a decision in this game.
정신 차려, 현주야!
정신 차리다 is to calm down. So, or get a hold of yourself, basically. Like, calm down, Hyunju. Dancing here on the translation. Yeah, I think the teacher should become a zombie. That'd be cool. What's she doing? Hey, 현주는 마치 지금까지 먹은 걸 모두 토하듯 격렬하게 피를 토했다. Oh, wow. Okay. 마치 is when you make a comparison. So it's an adverb that always comes with something like 듯 or like 같다 or something like that. So just like, just as if. It's used for emphasizing something's just like. So you'll see it like that. In this case, it's used with 토하듯. So as if she, 토하다 is to vomit. 모두, everything that she, 지금까지 up until now, 먹은 것을, everything that she had eaten up till now. So just as if she had vomited everything that she'd eaten up until now, 격렬하게, like violently, 피를 토했다. So she threw up blood violently as if she, yeah, you know, I don't want to translate this too clearly because I don't know if YouTube's listening, but yeah, basically it's not pretty. Yeah, that's a good question, Cosmo. It's exactly like that. And there are a lot of adverbs like that where you never use them by themselves. 마치 is not used by itself ever, but it's always used to attach with a grammar form. So there, yeah, 만약 is with 면, 비록 is with 도 or 지라도. Yeah, there are a lot of like things like that go together, and that's one of them. 보건실, the nurse office, 침대, bed 전체가 피로 물들었다고 생각될 만큼, so much that you could think that the bed, the entire bed, 침대 전체, the whole bed was 피로 물들다, is stained. So yeah, it was like the whole, so much that the nurse's bed was completely all stained with blood. Okay. 엄청난 양이었다. 양 is a amount of something. 엄청나다 is to be quite a lot, quite a big amount. So it was a ton, basically. 그리고는 and then 기절한 듯 조용해졌다. 기절한 듯, as if she had 기절하다, fainted. So 기절한 듯, past tense. 조용해졌다, it became quiet as if she had fainted. Note that it's 그리고는. The 는 is for emphasis. It's the same thing as 그리고, but instead of 그리고, it's 그리고는. And then I don't like the narration parts though, because like I said, the speaking parts are more natural Korean usually, and the narration parts are like 애초에 is like, you can think of it as like to begin with, as in when you're emphasizing something. There's no translation for it in the English version, but it is normally, at all, to begin with, that sort of meaning. So 사람이 이만큼, can people this much, 이만큼 피를 토하고, throw up that blood. And then 멀쩡하다 is to be fine, to be okay, to be intact, unharmed, to be safe. 멍청 has to be stupid. 멀쩡할 수 있을까? Can someone throw up this much blood but still be okay to begin with, like at all? In the first place. That's the translation that was on the tip of my tongue. That's better translation. In the first place. Can people even throw up this much and be okay in the first place? So 애초에 doesn't really have that much purpose other than it's very useful for emphasizing things. Like 이런 게 애초에 안 되는 거 아니었어? Wasn't this like not okay in the first place? So for that sort of emphasis. Literally, 애초에 does mean like in the first, at the beginning, but it's used to kind of mean like normally on a regular day. Is this okay? Like the English just says, can people be fine after throwing up this much blood? So they didn't translate. 그보다, more than that, 이 엄청난 광경 때문에. And more than that, because of this great, extreme 광경, like terror? No. The English translation says terror, but that's not terror. That's something that you see. Sight And more than that, this incredible, horrible sight. Yes. And because of the terror of what just happened is what it translated. That is not correct. I feel like whoever translated the game rushed. Not that they did a bad job, because it's possible that this game had so much stuff to translate, and it's possible they had a very low budget, and maybe they only gave the translator a short amount of time to do it, or they weren't paying very much. They're just like, just translate it, it's fine. But the translation is not accurate in a lot of places, and it feels like, it doesn't feel wrong, it feels rushed. Like, I think they didn't think of it. They just looked at it, they're like, because of the terror, okay, that's what it means, like, and then moving on. 이삭이의 팔이 물렸다는 사실을 잊어버리고 말았다. So 버리고 고 말았다. It's like I ended up doing something, so I ended up 잊어버리다, completely forgetting the 사실, the fact that 이삭이의 팔이 물렸다. Isaac's 팔, arm, was 물리다. 물렸다는 따는 or 단, same thing. Or 다고한, you can think of it like that. The fact that her arm was bitten. That's a separate grammar form, like 고하는 or 고한, or I should say 다고하는, 다고한. I've done a live stream about it, but you don't really need to know the form separately. You just learn that it's used with things like the fact that, the words that someone said that, the idea that, the thought that sort of meaning. 물린 자신조차도. 물린 자신, herself, who was bitten, 조차도, even. So 조차도 is used for more emphasis, for when you're saying even with something negative, like even herself who was bitten forgot. And the English translation got that, and of course, 이삭이 too, is what it said. Okay.
이게 무슨 일입니까?
교장 선생님, it's the principal. 이게 무슨 일입니까? What is going on here? My goodness, is the principal gonna get bitten? Are we gonna have a principal zombie? Principal zombie sounds like a punk metal band or something. Let's see.
감금이라고요?
She was trapped. He kept her locked up. 박선아 선생님은 교장 선생님 옆에 선 남나를 보았다. So the teacher Park 남나를 보았다, looked at 남나, who was 교장 선생님, the principal, 옆에, next to the principal, 서다, to stand. So the Park teacher looked at 남나, who stood next to the principal. So she looked at Namna, who was standing next to the principal, like that. Miss Park looked at Namna, who was standing next to the principal. Yes, that's a good translation. 남나가 상황에 대해 설명했다는 의미로 고개를 끄덕였다. So 고개를 끄덕다 is 끄덕이다 is to nod. 고개, you nod your head. Koge is like your actual, like your whole head from the neck. So anytime you're talking about like shaking your head or nodding your head or anything like that, it's always going to be koge. You don't use mori for that. Mori is like just the head part. So she nodded, meaning 의미로 that she 설명했다. Someone had explained 대해 about the 상황, the situation. So Namna nodded as if someone had already explained to her about the situation. The English says Namna, I can't read it as Namra, it just sounds wrong. Namna nodded, signaling that she had already told him what had happened. Oh, 남나가 상황에 대해, sorry. She 설명했다. So she nodded, meaning that she had already explained about it. There, I got the subjects wrong. I was thinking someone told her about it, but no, not that the situation was explained, but that she explained it. So that's the subject I was mistranslating there.
일단 나가셔서 얘기하시죠.
Okay, first, 나가셔서, go out and 얘기하시죠, and talk. Notice that these are both commands. 나가셔서, like you leave, and 얘기하시죠, you talk. But this is a polite way of saying let's in Korean. So if you want to say let's and you want to be polite, the only way to do it is to give a polite command. You say something 하시죠, like go ahead and talk. Oh, go ahead, 가시죠. 먼저 가시죠. Like go ahead, go first. You tell someone to do something very politely, and that implies I'm going to do that with you. So yeah, let's go out and talk first. And the English translation, got that?
얘기고 자시고 이병찬 그 사람 지금 어디 있습니까?
얘기고 자시고. This ko is used when you're like dismissing something, like whatever, talk or whatever. 자시고. I think this might be a specific expression, but I'm not familiar with this. Loophole to use sol with commands. Oh no, in this case, it's not using sol to mean because. So it's not a loophole because you can't use sol with commands when you're saying because. But no one said you can't use sol when you're using commands if you mean sol as in an action happens after another action. But it's true, you can't say like 배고파서 빨리 먹자. You can't do like sol with when you mean because it implies cause and effect. But when you're saying that you're doing something sol and then doing something, and you're using sol to mean and then, command is totally fine. Hold on, let me check this, because this is a specific usage that I'm not familiar with of the cool form. I know the cool ending is used for like whatever. Let me check. I know it's an older form, that's all I can guess. Oh, okay, I found it. Okay. Yeah, it is a specific older grammar form. Oh, okay, so it is just another alternate way of saying the regular 고 모고, which you might hear. So it's just 얘기고 자시고. The 고 자시고 is the specific grammar form. Never seen it, but that's what it sounds like, and I checked, and yeah, it is. Just dismissing something, like 얘기, like whatever. Talking is what it means. 이병찬 그 사람 지금 어디 있습니까? Where is that 이병찬 guy? Speaking of sol, I've seen Korean use sol with past tense. Someone told me it even sounds normal, like 좋아했어 sol. Yeah, so we could talk about that. That's been around for, I want to say, before I started my YouTube channel, I saw people doing that. So it's not a recent phenomenon. What it is that some people think it sounds normal because if you want to talk about something you're talking about the past tense, like in that situation, because I was this, that's why this. Then you can use it. However, you actually shouldn't use it, but that's when they think it's okay because they think, well, I'm talking about the past, so it's okay. And they use it, but it's very restrictive because there's some verbs where it just sounds really awkward if you attach it. Like for example, 있다. You can say 있어서, 그런 게 있어서, 없어서, but you wouldn't say 있었어서. It sounds so weird. Or 없었어서. So anything that already has the S sound in it would sound really awkward. Like for example, if you're saying like 씻다, like to wash up, you could say 씻어서, but you wouldn't say 씻었어서. So anytime you have that sort of sound, or a 시옷 sound, it can't be used. So it's like, it's a very specific usage, and it doesn't actually change the meaning. So some people might say, well, it has a different meaning if I say this. It has a different feeling than versus saying this. It actually doesn't. The regular one has both of the meanings of it was and it is, like because it is or because it was. The original form has that. The reason is Korean doesn't need the tense in the middle of the sentence. When you're saying something, you give the tense at the very end. So if you say like, because I was full, or because I was hungry, that's why I did that. You just need the tense at the end. That's why I did that. And it implies like 배불러서, 배고파서, because I was full or because I was hungry or whatever. That it is not necessary to add it. So it already acts as both tenses. But I still sometimes see people using it. It doesn't sound bad. Like it doesn't like rub me the wrong way when I hear it. It just seems like the person doesn't know proper Korean. Like when I see people misspell things or they use 틀리다 instead of 다르다, like, yeah, a lot of people use 틀리다 instead of 다르다 to mean it's different. Even though 틀리다 means to be wrong or incorrect and 다르다 is to be different, I'll still hear people say 틀린 거예요. 좀 틀려. Like it's a little different, but they're saying it's a little wrong. It doesn't rub me the wrong way. It just sounds like, oh, that person 한국어 제대로 못 배우는가 보다. Like I guess they're just some dude who hasn't learned Korean very well. And Koreans will think that too. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, it sounds okay, but then they'll think to themselves, oh, I guess that person doesn't really know Korean that well. So it's just one of those things. I don't think it's going to be changed because it doesn't work in every situation. It's not like an actual grammar form in past tense. And because you don't ever need it. Like when you get a new grammar form that has a specific usage, it sticks around even when it's wrong. You can see that's happened a lot when grammar forms come about, but they're wrong, but everyone uses it and it has a different feeling and a different nuance. It'll stick, even if it's wrong. It doesn't matter if it's wrong. People will like it. The sole form of the past tense doesn't have that attribute where it has a reason to stick around. So people keep using it, but it hasn't officially like caught on. A really common example, I did a video about this, but the io ending, when you just want to say one word sentences, you like, oh, where do you live? And you want to say 미국이요. You don't say 미국이요 just with yo, you'd say 미국이요. Even though 미국이요 until a couple years ago was wrong Korean, grammatically wrong, and didn't exist in the dictionary, that's what everyone said, and it had a purpose. It was supposed to just be yo, but it had a purpose as io because it sounds more natural to insert the e there. It's easier to say. So things like that are wrong technically end up becoming correct because they feel different and they have a purpose. Grammar forms that start off as like dialect versions of things like 가지고, like it's wrong, it was, but it has a purpose. It has a different nuance than the whole form. It has different uses than the whole form. So because of that, it ended up sticking around and it's like really common and it sounds good. So some things like that. Yeah, I mean, right now with people using overly honorific words for service industry jobs, like you might hear like 나오셨습니다 instead of 나왔습니다, like 커피가 나오셨습니다, like your coffee has humbly arrived. It sounds weird, but it has a purpose. It makes it sound more polite. So there's a high chance that that's going to stick around and that eventually people might accept it as, oh yeah, it's actually a correct usage because it's adding extra honorifics to the person. And they might change honorific usage so that it can apply to anyone, anything, as long as you're talking about the person. So like it might expand the usage of honorifics, but not the past tense. Okay. Anyway, you learned a new grammar form. I learned a new grammar form, 고 자시고, which I never heard before. Let me put it into let me see if I can find an entry for it in Naver. 고 자시고, let's see. Yes, Naver has an entry for it. 앞에 나온 말이 무엇이든지 따지거나 묻지 않고 부정하는 뜻으로 이르는 말. Yeah, cool. So basically, you don't even care, you're not asking about whatever comes before, and it's a negative meaning. So it's like, forget that. Now, there are other better ways to say that are more common. Like, who cares about that sort of thing? I'm not going to teach them for today, but that's one more. you guys get bit? Okay, let me just open that so I can add it to my Anki deck. Okay.
쟤 아까 걔 맞지? 옆반에 현주인가 뭔가 하는.
That person talking about the girl. 아까 걔 맞지? It's that one from the girl from before. 맞지, right? 아까, just from a while ago. 옆반. So the class next to us, the next class over. 현주인가 뭔가 하는. 옆반이 현주인가 뭔가 하는. That one that's named 현주인가? Is it 현주 or something? 뭔가? Or something? So the one that from the next class named like 현주?
맞네. 옷에 피 묻은가 봐. 아, 상태가 심각한가 보다.
맞네, that's right. 옷에 피 묻다 is to be stained, to have it stuck on you, like stained on you. So look at the blood on her clothes. 상태, her condition. 심각하다 is to be serious. So I guess her condition's 심각한가 보다. I guess her condition's really serious.
와, 이러다 우진이 의심처럼 점식이 진짜 인육 먹고 뭐 그런 대반전이 일어나진 않겠지?
Wow. If 우진 의심처럼, just like Ujin's doubts, 점식이, that's that teacher guy, 진짜 인육, human flesh, that means it's gonna be like that she was right, just like she was worrying, that she was just like her doubts, that 점식 was actually eating human flesh, and like 뭐 그런, there was that kind of 대반전이 일어나지 않겠지? Like there's not going to be that kind of 일어나다 is like to occur, to happen. 일어나진 않겠지. There's not going to be like that sort of 대반전, like big, is this like big occurrence? Like, oh, 대반전, sorry. Yeah, a big occurrence, something big happening, a surprise, I guess. 반전 is a regular word for like a twist, like if you're watching a movie and there's like a twist at the end. So you can say 대반전 is like a big twist, but it doesn't really have to mean a big twist. It can also just mean like a surprise. That's the regular word for a surprise. So there's not going to be like that kind of surprise or anything, right? Like she was saying, like the teacher's really eating like human flesh or anything like that.
꺼져라 배신자 새끼.
I'm not going to say the word, but 꺼지다, I'll just say it like that. 꺼지다 is to shoo, and it's a strong way of saying to shoo to someone. Like, get out of here. Cut it out. It's not super strong, but it is a legitimate, like a decent word. 배신자, a betrayer, a traitor. And then the last word, you all know that one.
맞아. 너만 아니었어도 지금 SNS 스타가 됐을 텐데.
That's right. 너만 아니었어도, even if it weren't for you. So if it weren't for you is what we would say. But in Korean they would say, if it only weren't you, even if it only weren't you is what they say. 너만 아니었어도. 지금 right now SNS, social media, star가 됐을 텐데. Oh, I'm sure I would have been a star. Like, I know I would have been a star by now if it wasn't for you. Is what she's saying. And she says in English, yeah, if it weren't for you, I'd be trending by now.
너무 그러지 마셔. 공익적으로 협조해야지, 협조.
너무 그러지 마셔. Don't be like that too much. Don't be like that. 공익적 is for everyone. 협조하다 is working together, collaboration. So we got to work together for the common good, I guess. Yeah, we got to work together for the common good, work together.
그나저나 선아쌤 진짜 멋있지 않았냐?
But come to think of it, or by the way, 그나저나 is like when you're changing the topic completely. I love that you know we'd know that word. Oh, it was the first word I learned in Korean. I shouldn't say that. The first word anyone taught me in Korean was that. I did know a few other like random words I didn't know, but like nothing really important, but that was the first word a Korean actually taught me was that word. Come to think of it, 선아쌤, isn't teacher 선아 진짜 멋있지 않았냐? Wasn't she so cool?
주번 보건쌤, 반장 교장쌤, 부반장 점식이.
주번 is the person who's in charge of the class. 보건쌤, the health teacher. 반장, the class president. 교장쌤, the principal. 부반장, the what do you call it? Vice class president. 점식이, the person they call 점식이. I keep forgetting, is that the teacher or is that another student? In English, they keep translating as mole face, so I just have to assume it's that teacher. But I don't know.
맞지 카리스마 쩔어주셨지.
Charisma is charisma. Jarda. Jarda is to be like fantastically great or fantastically bad. Like crazy. Maybe you could translate it as like crazy. It's a slang word. Actually, this is a dialect word. Most people in Korean, most Koreans don't know this, but Jarda is actually a dialect word from Incheon. So yeah, Incheon has some dialect, and there are a few words that are common, but this is the most famous one. So dang, she's got crazy charisma, is what he's saying. Her charisma is off the charts. But Jarda can be both mean like good and bad. So if you say like oh 쩔어, 쩐다, it's kind of like saying dang in English, where it can both be good and bad. Cosma says, so this is the word you said on stream about being the first bad word you learned. Yeah, it was actually this word, but it was plus dog at the beginning. It was the full word was the first word that I learned in not that I word again, the first word that I was taught by a Korean was that word with K at the front. And the funny thing is, so I learned it from this guy. I can't remember his name right now, but he taught me the word and he was laughing, and he didn't tell me what it meant. He's just like, he didn't tell me what it meant. Here's your first word. I'm going to tell you this. And he said, don't say it though. It's a really strong word. I'm like, okay. So I assumed at the time, it must be like some funny word or a swear word maybe. And after that, I went and sat down at another table. So this was happening during, in the cafeteria. So during my lunchtime. And so this was the end of 2004 or the beginning of 2005, sometime around then. And I sat down at a table with another Korean there. I didn't know, some Korean lady. I think she was probably 40, in her 40s. And he sat down, and I don't remember why we moved over there, but I looked at her and I'm like, oh, I learned a Korean word today. And I said the word straight to her face. I didn't know her. And she looked at me. She's like, oh, she's like, who taught you that? And I'm like, oh, him. He's sitting right there. And she looked over him. She's like hitting him. And like, I guess she told him, I didn't know any Korean at the time. And she's like, wow, could you tell him that word? Like, why would you teach him that word? And he was like laughing, but she was mad. I just remembered that.
마왕의 반쪽으로 딱 어울리는 면모를 보여주셨노라.
Oh my god, shut up, Ujin. Shut up. 마왕의 반쪽으로 딱 어울리는 면모를 보여주셨노라. So you can tell he's using his really old style anime speak because it's the 노라 ending, which is an archaic ending that no one uses. She showed us her 면모, her expression that 어울리다 matches exactly. 딱 어울리다. 딱 is like just matches, exactly matches. The 마왕 is the demon, a devil. 마왕의 반쪽, half of a demon. 반쪽으로 딱 어울리는 면모를 보여주셨노라. She showed us an expression that absolutely matched her, like her as a half demon, is what he's saying. I take it back. The teacher can get bitten later. I want Ujin to get bitten because he's gonna talk more normal when he's a zombie. Let's see what the English said. She was like half demon lord. Her expression was just perfect. That's not what you said. That's not what you said. You said it way cringier than that.
속도 없어 정말. 제일 심하게 욕먹은 주제. 응.
속도 없다 is like you are you got no substance, you got nothing to you. So in the English they said you have no balls, but it's not about bravery. Let me see if there's a better translation. 속이 없다 is the word. Doesn't really have a translation for it. You got nothing. 정말 제일 심하게 욕먹은 주제. You are 제일 is 제일. It's just a common shortened way of saying 제일. 심하게, seriously, 욕먹다 is to get sworn at, but to be made fun of. You can think of it like that. 주제 is someone's place, like know your place, that sort of place, like your situation. So you're in the place of getting 심하게, 제일 심하게, the strongest, 욕먹은 주제, where you're getting sworn at the most. Like, dude, you're the one, you're gonna be getting made fun of the most right now, like that. And the English says, honestly, everyone was mouthing off at you. Yeah. It's like you're getting sworn at, you're getting called out the most. You've gotten called out the most. No insides, guts. Kind of, but there are other ways to say you've got no guts. 간댕이 or 간덩이 would be another word. 배짱 is another one. 속이 없다. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, hey, Caro. And hey, Keith. Yeah, I'm just going until the end of the scene, so I don't know how long they're going to talk.
야, 저건 또 뭐냐? 대박!
Hey, well, what's that over there? 또 뭐냐? Like, as if, 또 as in again, but this is 또 because you're realizing something. Like, look, now there's something new. 또 is what it implies. So it's just for emphasis. You could just say 저건 뭐야? 저건 뭐냐? But now it's 저건 또 뭐냐? Like, and now, what's that? What's that now? 대박. Dang. Again, 대박 is another word that means like dang, kind of like like 쩐다 or 쩔어, which is slang from Incheon. But it's slang from Incheon originally, but everyone uses it all over Korea. Like I said, no one will even know. If you tell them it's Incheon slang, they probably won't even know that.
왜? 뭔데?
왜? Literally why? But a better translation is what? 뭔데? What is it? Because it's not 왜 as in why did that happen, but it's 왜. Why are you saying that is what it means. Or if someone's looking at you, someone's staring at you and you say 왜, you're not saying why, you're actually saying 왜 쳐다봐? Why are you staring? Why are you looking at me? Which in English we just say what are you looking at? What are you talking about? But in Korean they'll say why are you saying that? Why are you looking at me? So if you see 왜, it can also translate to what just as much. Okay, we're gonna go up to here.
야, 비상, 비상!
Okay, emergency, emergency. Where is this? There we go. I can close this. Switch accounts back to my channel. Checking here. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't. Apologies, I wasn't able to do any live streaming on this channel for the past 2 weeks because my schedule with the ATEEZ videos was way more tight than I thought. I was assuming it would be like with BTS, where I would wake up in the morning at like 6, start working from 8. I'd finish around like 4 o'clock with writing. I'd spend like 8 hours writing it, and then it would be fine, and then I'd be able to spend the rest of the evening doing whatever, and I'd be doing game stream. But it turned out that writing these episodes, and I wrote all 8. So this is something I'm not announced. I didn't tell anyone on my channel, but I already wrote all 8 of them. This is one of them. I already filmed all 8 of them. So they're all done. It took me 8 straight hours of filming. It was insane. And I did it all in one day. I woke up, started filming from before 10 o'clock, and I finished around 6. And I only took a really quick break for lunch. I like crammed the lunch down, and it was a really long day. So that way I could get out like all the episodes. Each one took about an hour to film. And now I'm editing them. Editing them is also very intense because it takes me 2 days to edit each one because they're very big and I'm adding lots of stuff. But I should be done with those the beginning of next year. Maybe, I think in my schedule, if I stay on schedule, I'll be done with editing January 2nd with editing all 8 of them. So the whole ordeal with editing, writing, researching will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. No. Yeah. Almost 8 weeks. Okay, 7.5 weeks. No, it is 8 weeks. Yeah, my 8 weeks minus 2 days. So almost 8 weeks to do 8 videos. Like, these are really intense because I spent like 2 days writing each one, 2 days editing each one, and then in there was extra day for research because I spent 5 days for research before I even started writing any of their episodes. It's just, yeah, it's just ridiculously big. So yeah, thanks, Cosmo. If you liked the first episode, I don't know if anyone watches them. The first episode is honestly the weakest of all the 8. I think when I was writing them, I felt like I really got into the groove of writing after the first one. So by the time I finished the first one, then I realized, oh, I could actually do a much better job now because now I got it going. So the first one's the weakest. And the second one, as they go on, they'll get like, I get a little bit faster and better at writing them. But yeah, the second one's going to be much better, and they're just really big projects. But it's okay. If people watch them, it's something I can do to support myself a little bit for my channel in between my Korean classes. I mean, if I didn't have to care about views on YouTube or ad revenue or anything like that, I would still make them, but not as often. I wouldn't do as many. But yeah, so I'll be posting one of those every 2 weeks. Otherwise, if I do every week, my channel is just going to turn into an ATEEZ channel. All my subscribers will be like, I'm done with this. You know, I don't want to, if they're not K-pop fans or they're not ATEEZ fans, they're just not going to watch my channel for a few months. So I decided every other week is good. That way I can still keep my channel looking like a Korean learning channel. And yeah. Yeah, any questions? I can stick around for just a little bit. I'll definitely leave before 7, so definitely less than 15 minutes because I got to go back to not editing today. I actually finished editing. Today I finished editing the Yoonho video, so the 3rd of the 8th video. I just finished that. That one took me 3 days to edit. The other ones were 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah. Except Hongjung only took 1. Hongjung's video was insane. I woke up for Hongjung's video. I woke up at 6:30 I showered, I got dressed, I was ready at 7. I didn't eat. 7 o'clock, I downed a caffeine drink, and I worked non-stop on that video until 9 o'clock. I finished it at like 7, and then I saved it, watched it, saved it again, uploaded it, and I think I was finished with everything at around 9 o'clock. So I was just like pounding down caffeine, and I took a 30-minute break for lunch where I made myself 6 egg omelet. I reheated some chicken that we had, and I had some bread, and I had something else. It was like awful. It was easily like a over 2,000 calorie meal. Oh yeah, 2 hot dogs. That's right. I also had 2 hot dogs and something else. I had something else with it. Oh yeah, I had a whole bowl of macaroni and cheese. That's right. Because I had KFC. We had like a deal for that. So I had extra big chicken breast and a whole thing of mac and cheese. So I ate all that. It was easily over 2,000 calories. And then I went back to work, drank more caffeine. And I finished that Hongjung video in 1 day. But the other videos, I'm not making myself do that. I'm giving myself 2 or 3 days for them. So it's okay. I normally... Okay, so the 6 eggs thing, it was supposed to be 4 eggs. I was supposed to do 4 scrambled eggs just because I was like, I want some scrambled eggs. I want some protein. But then after I made the 4 scrambled eggs, I mixed it and I'm like, you know what? Let's make matzo brie. For those of you who don't know, probably none of you know, matzo brie is where it's a Jewish type of thing. I'm not religiously Jewish, but I have Jewish heritage and my mom grew up that way. So I grew up eating a lot of Jewish food, and matzo brie is where you mix a bunch of the eggs and then you add in matzah, which is like the flat hard bread. So it's like a cracker kind of. You crunch that up into little pieces and you put it in there, mix it up until it gets wet. And then you also add in, you can add in hot dog. So I cut up, a couple hot dogs, put it in there. I was going to make matzo brie, but after I added the matzah, it was too dry because I added too much matzah by mistake. I added 2 whole things. So it's super dry. So I'm like, I can't eat this. It's just going to be too dry. So I better add a couple more eggs. So it ended up being 6 egg matzo brie with 2 hot dogs and 2 matzah pieces in there. And then, but the problem was, before I added everything else, while it was just 4 eggs and nothing else, I was already heating up the macaroni and cheese and the chicken leftovers. So I can't throw those out. Right? That's a waste of food. I grew up, you don't waste food because food's expensive. So I have to eat it. So it's the biggest meal I've ever had. But I knew that if I eat slow, I'm not gonna be able to finish it. It's gonna take too long. I have to go back to work. So I'm like, I just crammed it down. And then I had like this big thing of caffeine. So I normally do not eat like that. That was just that one day to finish the video. Sue says, oh, Keith says, was this the whole last week? No, this was just one day. This was last week, Wednesday, because I uploaded the video on Thursday, but I filmed them all on Tuesday. So Tuesday, like I said, Tuesday was when I woke up really early and I was filming for over 8 hours. And then after I finished filming, while I was transferring the files to my computer, because that takes an hour or so, it was like 200 gigabytes of files for 8 hours of filming. While I was doing that, I was taking down this, because I took down everything in the room. Everything was right here. This is where I film. So I took down all the set and all the lights and everything. And then I went to bed, like probably 10 o'clock. Woke up early the next morning, and that's when I did the editing all day. But normally I don't do that. I just had a feeling like I need to get this video out as fast as possible because it's going to be Christmas soon. I want as much stuff on my channel as possible. I want as many eyes on my channel as possible for Christmas. Hopefully I'll get more book sales. So I haven't been selling too many books lately. I gotta find ways to make more money. Maybe if I make more free cheat sheets, that'll do it. Sue Amazing says, yes, I don't follow ATs. I just watch for new words or grammar, things like intonation that you teach us on those videos. Yeah, that's the reason I accept making those videos, is because it's an excuse for me to teach them. So like when I do a video about someone who has dialect, I can take a moment and stop and teach the dialect. And I do that with Yunho. Yunho is one of the members of ATs, and he grew up in Gwangju. Gwangju has a specific dialect. He doesn't use much dialect at all, but it's still a good excuse for me to teach the viewers dialect. So maybe they'll know more dialect than he does if they learn the dialect expressions and the stuff that I teach in the video. So otherwise, I don't really have an opportunity to teach that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, don't worry, Kenneth. I don't treat myself poorly. It's just I make bad decisions when I'm rushed. Like when I was doing the beginner Korean course, that was 100 episodes. That was a little bit more stable. I would wake up, I would edit from like 9 until 3 or 4 every day. And then I would be finished because I was really fast at doing it, that I could finish the editing in like 3 or 4 hours and then make the subtitles and upload it and all of the rest of it, make the thumbnail in under 1 hour. So the whole thing was like 5 or 6 hours per day. So during that time, I was actually doing this gaming stream really often because I would finish my work every single day at like 4 or 5 p.m., maybe 6 if it was a long video, without fail. But these new videos I'm doing, the 80s ones, there's no way. It's 2 days. Like this one, Yunho one was 3 days. So Cosma, yeah, you're right. And as much as I would love to make higher Korean levels, and I do make higher Korean level stuff, but as much as I would like to make more of that, it takes so much time and so much it takes, like, the higher the level goes, the more time it takes to make it, because you're explaining to people who already know these basic concepts, and you still have to make it really clear just in case if someone reading it is not at that level. So when I'm making the more advanced materials like the conversation course I did, I have to, in my mind, I have to think, okay, this is both a intermediate learner and a beginner reading what I'm saying. And I have to explain it so that the intermediate person can get it and they're not like it's not dumbed down for them, but it has to be clear, so clear that a beginner who's not ready for that form will still be able to say, oh, I guess I get it when I teach it. So it gets harder to do that. And then, yeah, people just, like, I made the Korean Reading Made Simple 2 book, which is native level. That's for intermediate learners. And Korean Reading Made Simple 1 is for beginners. But the second one, I don't know, maybe I'll sell like 5 or 10 of those per month. So it's not a lot. At most, it might be less than that. Maybe like 5 or so sales per month. But maybe, 50 people to 100 people maybe will buy the first book, Korean Made Simple 1. So I have to make more content for beginners just so that I can make more content for advanced learners. But my goal is someday, if I can get enough revenue from general whatever I'm doing, live streaming, Patreon would be nice. If I had Patreon, that would be amazing. I could just not worry about what I'm making. I could just do the content that I think people need and what members request. But my hope is to get enough from the basic stuff that's, passive income, and then I can do more advanced materials, because I have several ideas for courses I want to make that are for advanced that I just can't justify making. Like, I want to make a 50 episode course about a topic. I won't even say it, but you would love it, I guarantee you, but I can't, because it would take, 4 months to make it if I went really fast. 4 months to work on it and make it, and just to get a few thousand views. And I just want to make it free. Like, I want to make a book, but I want to make the course free, and I can't do that sort of stuff. So I'm always forced to do beginner stuff just so I can pay the bills. And then whenever I have a little gap, like, okay, now I can make something more advanced. But it's kind of why you see me doing lots of intermediate and advanced stuff for my live streams, because that's not so, it doesn't really matter so much what I do. Like, if I do no matter what topic I do, some people will come in and they'll still donate a little bit, so it's okay. I can allow myself to do any topic for live streams. Sue Amazing, that is not the topic that's not the book I was talking about, but that is a project that I would like to make, and it would be a gigantic undertaking. I did a appendix at the back of Korean Made Simple 3 about dialects, if you didn't know. And it's a section that talks about all the different dialects in very brief terms. So it gives like the most common verb endings for each dialect. It gives like really common expressions, traits, quirks of that dialect. It just briefly talks about them. But it doesn't go into any detail. The reason is because that's the limit of what I could teach confidently. I mean, I don't want to say, hey, well, I heard one person say this like there, and this is an expression I heard here, because I would need to verify everything. I can't just say, oh, this is an expression from Busan, because it actually could be an expression from another place that just people in Busan also use. If I'm actually going to teach something like that, I would need to get a bunch of dialect speakers and have them check every single dialect. And I would especially need help with the dialects that I am not familiar with, like Cholla dialect. I've never been there. Gangwon dialects. I've never been there either, except for like one city. So I don't know those two entire provinces. So I can't teach them other than what I can read on the internet. But if I want it to be a really good book, I would need to get actual references, talk with people to confirm. Like, I made a Jeju dialect video. And you probably didn't know this, but the Jeju dialect video was actually confirmed by the Jeju Dialect Institute in Jeju. I contacted them when I made my Jeju dialect video because I'm not an expert in Jeju dialect, but what I did is I first researched the video on my own. I wrote all the expressions, I looked up things, found expressions, found grammar, checked with some friends I had who lived there to check that it's okay, and then wrote the entire script and I contacted that agency. The institute. And I'm like, hey, I'm this teacher. I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm doing a lesson about Jeju dialect. Would you be willing to check my script? And they said, sure. I sent over the script. They said, hey, here you go. Here's some notes. By the way, this that you wrote, it's okay, but this is better. Or no one actually says this. It's a stereotype. And it was great. So then I took that script and I filmed it. So I'm really happy with it. It's not perfect. Some people in Jeju are like, oh, I don't say that. Sure, you don't say that. There are no rules. But generally, I got a lot of information that way. And if I were to do a dialect book, it would have to be in the same process. I would need to contact the Gyeongsang dialect specialists. There are people who are specialists in dialects, and work together with them to confirm stuff and get information that I wouldn't be able to find on the internet. Because if you search dialect on the internet, even in Korean, even in Naver, you get wrong information because Koreans don't know dialect. There are stereotypes of dialect expressions that do not exist in those dialects. A really common one is 뜨래요, I believe. 뜨래요. And I mentioned this in Korean Made Simple 3, but like 거기 있더래요, you'll hear people mockingly say as an expression from Gangwon dialect. It doesn't exist. It's not a dialect ending, but someone said it once in a movie that was called Welcome to Gangwon-do, I think it was called, or something. Welcome, yeah. A character in the movie said it, so people assume, and it was catchy, so they assume it's a dialect, but it's a fake expression. But everyone says it today. If you say that, it sounds like you're imitating that dialect. But the people who live there are annoyed by it sometimes because it's like, we don't say that. It's kind of like shrimp on a Barbie. No one in Australia would say shrimp on a Barbie. First of all, they don't say shrimp, they say prawn. But it's like, throw a shrimp on the Barbie because of Paul Hogan's commercials in the 80s or 90s or whatever. So it's kind of like that. There's a lot of stuff like that I'd have to be careful of. Small says, would you ever do webtoon stuff? I want to finish Jungle Juice, but it's hard. I did a couple comics for Korean Reading Made Simple 1, just a few comics, because originally I wanted to do, this was back before I did Korean Made Simple, before I even did any book. My original idea was to do a comic book. It would be a comic book in Korean with translations, believe it or not. So I met with the artist who ended up doing my book covers originally, and I talked with them about the idea. They weren't really interested in doing a comic. And I didn't know anyone else to contact at the time, and I researched it, and it would have been extremely expensive. So that's why I ended up doing my Korean Made Simple instead. But yeah, I did want to do a comic book. The reason I hadn't is just because of how expensive it would be. Because you have to think about it, like, if I get an artist to draw for me in Korea, and they are very reasonable for prices, I found some really good ones I like. Minimum, it would be like $300 to $500 per panel, per page. And that's simple drawings. That's not like detail. That's just simple illustration. So imagine I wanted to do a comic that's, realistically 100 pages, right? At least. Or just say 50 pages and it's one side is the translation, one side's the comic. That's a short comic. But I'm going to spend, let's say they give me a deal and they only charge me $100 per page. We'll work on this. It's still going to be what? $5,000? So which is a steal, honestly, but it's not cheap. Would I make $5,000 from selling that book? Heck no. I probably would make back, in a year, maybe I'd get back $1,000, and maybe over its whole lifetime, 10 years, I would eventually get back $5,000. But it's not something that I could do unless I was the actual artist, and I'm not an artist. But yeah, webtoon stuff would be great. And I had a few other ideas for books. I wanted to do a book where I analyze other Korean webtoons, but the problem is copyright. The authors of webtoons in Korea don't own their own copyright most of the time. It's owned by the publication company. Like, they'll buy the rights to printing the webtoons. So I can't message an author and say, hey, I love your comic, send it to 100 authors. And hopefully one of them replies. No, they're all owned by the companies would own that. So I would have to get permission from the publisher, and they're not going to offer permission without a profit share. And I would just want to be like, hey, can I use your comics? I'll reprint them, but not the full comic. I'll reprint, like, maybe I'll cut off the beginning part, and I'll cut off the ending part, and I'll cut off a little bit of the middle story. Can you give me a version of it that's shorter? And then encourage people to buy the whole comic, and I'll pay you a little bit as a first commission. I can't pay you, a percentage, because I don't know how much it's going to make, but I can pay you a little bit at the beginning, and then I'll advertise the book. I'll say, hey, it's this book. Go buy it here. Check out their website. If there was a Korean author that wanted to do that, then I could do that, and then write a book where I, release several of them, where I have all of their books translated like that. Would you accept help from people in your community? There's no one in my community. As far as like where I actually live, I don't have any Korean friends right now where I live. All my Korean friends are in Korea. Like I said, I do know a few illustrators from online who I've contacted through doing my book covers, like the one who did my Korean Conversation Made Simple and Korean Reading Made Simple too. That illustrator was great to work with. So I used them twice in a row, and I would use them again if they're still working. Is there a reason why you keep your channel free? Yes. It was always the plan, or have you thought about making some videos paid? No, I never want to do that. Oh, Billy Go community. Yeah. No. So I'm just gonna say I had an experience where I tried to get help from someone in the community, and it didn't end up working, and they ended up getting like really actually, that's all I'm gonna say. I'll just say no. Because I don't want anyone like to try to figure out who I might be talking about. But I'll just say I had a bad experience with that in the past, so I'm not really interested in teaming up with anyone in the community unless I know them in person. Then that's different. Some people I have gotten to meet in person and found out, like, after you get to meet someone, you get to realize, oh, they're cool. Like, otherwise, no. So yeah, there is a reason why I keep it free, because I believe that language learning in general, not just language learning, should be something that anyone can access for free. I don't think I should be charging for basic information. I do think it's fine to charge for Korean learning contents. I'm not saying that. But I feel like if someone wants to learn Korean, this is all I'll say. If someone wants to learn Korean, there should be a free way they can do that. And that's the reason why I made my beginner the beginner course in the first place, is because I always thought that from the very beginning, that I felt bad when people say, hey, can I start learning Korean? And I would tell them, oh, here, I have my book. And they would say, is there a free way I can learn? Do you have a recommended website? And then I would always have to recommend them another website. I would say, oh yeah, check out Talk to Me in Korean. They have great free lessons. Or check out this other website. They have lessons. But I felt bad. I'm like, why am I telling people to go away when they're looking to learn Korean from me? I'll just make a free version for myself. That way, at least I can tell them, here, check out mine. Not to say that learning needs to be free for everything, but I'm saying that the basics, you should be able to get started for free. Like, nothing will kill your motivation more than if someone's trying to learn Korean for the first time, nothing's going to kill their motivation faster than finding out right away that they have to put down money to even start. I feel like when they get going, they're gonna pay. When they start learning Korean, they're gonna be like, oh, I'll happily pay for stuff. That's what happens. But in the beginning, you gotta try it. Like if you have a hobby, right? You want to get started and you find out, I don't know, say your hobby is drawing. Okay, you don't know if you're gonna like drawing, but you want to try it. So what do? You pick up a pencil, free, you have paper, you start playing around, you're like, hey, you know what? I want to get into drawing. Then you pull out the money and you go to this art store and you buy all this garbage that you probably won't use a year later when you stop, but you need to first try it to see that you're gonna like it. Or maybe you want to get into photography. You start taking photos with your parents' camera, or use your phone and you're like, oh, this is awesome. I really want to get into this. Then you buy a camera, you spend like $2,000 and buy a nice camera. Korean's the same. You got to try it, because when you try it and you realize, oh, this is totally for me, then you're going to say, oh, I'm going to get a Netflix Korea subscription and a VPN so I can watch all the Korean shows. I'm going to get, I'm going to get all these books, or I want to get this, or I want to do this course. I'm going to get a tutor. Like, that's when you're okay. So that's kind of my philosophy about it. I'm not planning on making paid stuff, except for the stuff that actually costs money to produce each time, like books. If I'm making a book, I'm not going to make it free unless I will say this, if I became a millionaire someday, so I'm not going to do this by selling books because I don't make that much money. But so if I walk down the street and I step on $1 million, I'm going to make all my books free. So that's something I'll let you guys know, but that's not going to happen. But it's just saying, that's kind of to let you know where my motivations are. But if I release a book, I charge for it because the books cost money to produce. I have to make the money back at least. But for courses, I know the courses also cost money to make, but it's more like it takes my time, not so much that it takes my money. Like, yeah, it takes a little bit of money, like printing and setting up and buying editing software. But I just consider that as, it's already a sunk cost. Yeah, thanks. The beginner course, I think it's enough. It's not everything. I purposely left some stuff out to make it a nice, clean 100 episodes, to make it easy to use. But it is enough to get started, and then it is also enough to go right into the conversation course if someone wants to actually start learning like real Korean beyond the basics. Then the conversation course picks up right after the beginner course, so it's a sequel. It's an official sequel. Keith says, small is like, I know what you mean, don't worry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, Keith, I believe the same thing. I think that, teachers have to be compensated too. I'm just trying to find a way around that where I can be compensated in different ways. So that's why you see me promote my Patreon heavily when I start my ATEEZ video. I'll do that in each one. I'm like, hey, first of all, thanks to the sponsor. You're the reason I don't have sponsorships in my videos. So I do that. And I promote like, I have books. I promote my Patreon page a lot. I'll promote watching my videos and subscribing because I can get ad revenue if more people watch. And yeah, but I also think the same thing. Like, I should be able to make money, but at the same time, my priority is I'm not above making money, but my priority is teaching Korean first, making money second, or maybe making money first, but as long as I'm still teaching Korean. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not against making money or anything like that. In fact, yeah, I need to as well, or else I couldn't. I mean, if YouTube decided tomorrow, no more ads on videos, no more revenues, and Patreon shut down, then I would have to quit. Like, you wouldn't see my channel anymore, not because I don't want to do it, but because I couldn't, because I would have to get a full-time job to pay for stuff, and that would mean I wouldn't have any time to upload videos anymore. So it's really just a time issue. And Keith says, just comes down to how people budget and where we want to give money. So many excellent creators and teachers. Yeah, and there's only a limited amount of money, like especially students who are trying to learn Korean. They're not really rich. They might have like a $25 Amazon gift card they got from their mom for Christmas or something like that. And they're like really trying to spend it wisely. Like, oh, if I'm going to do Korean, I can get like one thing, or maybe I'll get one course or one service. Why do you have no sponsors like it all? Because there are no sponsors I've found that match what I'm doing. And I've been approached by a lot of sponsors, and 99% of them don't match. Like, I'll get contacted daily, actually 2 or 3 times a day now, from AI companies that do like AI teaching platforms that want me to provide lessons for them or want me to promote their services. I'm like, I'm not gonna promote something that's not gonna work for my subscribers. Like, if you see me shilling, it's gonna be something good. I mean, nothing against people who promote stuff. That's fine. If they like the product, if they legitimately like the product, I have nothing against it. If they use NordVPN for their stuff, they like it, awesome. That's cool. I like it too, but it doesn't match with my channel. Or what's the other thing? Like Raycons? Like, I don't use them, but that's cool. I'm sure they work nice, but I can't promote that on my channel. It has nothing to do with my channel. What could I possibly promote on my channel that would match? Is there anything? Like, the companies I would work with don't want to work with me don't want to do paid promotion, or they are not able to provide appropriate compensation for what they want. Like, I've gotten contacted by another company I won't name, but they do, I'll just say they do tutoring. And they offered a very low amount of money while requesting that I do a video where I basically read a script promoting their product. Like, I have to mention this and this and this and this and say these phrases and this, and we'll pay you $100 per video mention. I'm like, what? Like, you know, it takes me like 10 hours just to set up and film and take down my room for one video. If I film like within an hour or two, I'm not gonna do that much for, and then editing it is another day or 2 or 3, depending on what it is. I'm not gonna do that for, okay, sorry, we were wrong. We meant $500. Like, I'm not gonna do that for $500, like 4 days of work or 5 days of work for a video promoting your service one time, and then everyone's gonna think that, you know, oh, Billy gave his stamp of approval. I'm like, I'm not gonna sell myself out for $500. I need more than, what is it, 20 pieces of silver for that, or how much was it? So yeah, I haven't found anyone, but I'm not against it. I'm open to it if there's the right sponsor. Like, let's say, what would be a good sponsor? It would have to be like Korean related, right? Like something I already like. I like Talk to Me in Korean. If Talk to Me in Korean, I mean, I know I talk with Hyunwoo. I'm just saying, like, that's something that's cool. Like, sure, I like them already. I'd promote them, but there's no reason, like, what would they have me promote? I mean, I used to do, I haven't in a while, but I would do like videos where we do collabs together. Like, that's promotion because, you know, it's letting my subscribers know they exist. What could be something I could promote? It was difficult to make the beginner's course, like choose topics and things. Yeah, it went through several iterations. It started off as a course that would have 125 episodes around, and I wrote all of them, all the topics and all the stuff I would teach in advance. And it was like 125, but after I got to about 50, I realized that I wanted to make it a nice clean 100. And I also realized I didn't have to go so slow as the lessons got later, because people weren't going to be following all the lessons anyway. Most people just do a few, they do the alphabet and they start, and then they get bored and do other things. So I realized I can actually start cramming more stuff in these lessons, because people who continue past the halfway mark, those are the serious ones. So that's why I decided I crushed it down to 100, and then I kept rearranging it. It took a lot of work. I organized the whole thing in advance, but then as I worked on it, I ended up rearranging and adding stuff. Cosmos says, yeah, I was a YouTuber too and only did an ad for someone's product I actually used. Yeah, I would do an ad. I would totally have nothing against saying, hey, I really like this product. Like, legitimately, this is a mouse I got in Korea. It's actually a nice mouse, but like, I really like this product. You should totally buy it. Use code GoBilly for 25% off your first order and free shipping. Like, yeah, why not? It's legitimate. Like, I actually like the product, but I haven't ever found anything like that. So that's why. There's so many gambling ads with a lot of money. Yeah, that's something I morally wouldn't want to promote. Nothing against that if you enjoy that, but there's so many people that can get sucked into that and addicted to that, and I don't want to be the start of that. I don't want someone to feel like, oh, it all started after I watched Billy's video where he recommended this one website. I don't want that. Because we made the course in a way that we could reach A1, and even with that, at beginner level, we can jump right away to native level conversation. Yeah, that was the goal, is I thought, what does someone need to have conversations in Korean? And I went through all the major topics and then split them up into the grammar forms. So I still have all my design documents. I keep everything. I'm a data hoarder. And not really, but like I do keep everything. So I have all the versions of the first draft, and I saved each draft. I have like the different days as it changed. So I can go back and look, but I had it, the way I was organizing it was like, I had a list of things that people need to have conversations. Like you need to be able to describe things. You need to be able to make quotes. You need to be able to introduce yourself, like numbers, colors, basic particles, like all of these things. And then I organize them in what order would I teach them. And then I change the order, and it, any product that you like or that's just good, they want your audience. It's just a commercial. Yeah. If there's any product I like, and I've done that, but what ends up happening is I just do ads for free all the time. Whenever I like a product, like I'll talk about it in a live stream, I'll just show the product. Like I love these pens. They're the Monami pens in Korea. I'm not getting paid. I wish. They are the cheapest, garbagiest pens you can get, and they're wonderful because when you use an expensive pen, you feel like I got to take good care of this. This pen, just threw it across the room and no one cares because it doesn't care. And I like the sound it makes. It's like, you can play with it. It's a fidget toy and a pen, which is great for me because I have like ADHD symptoms. I don't think I'm ADHD, but sorry. Okay, anyway, it's fun. It lasts a long time. It just has this big giant block of ink inside. You can see I barely even touched this. I've been using it already for a few weeks, but I've only consumed like a centimeter of it. They're just so cheap and so thin, and you can buy like a big box of them for a couple bucks in Korea, or I think Amazon is like $5 for a box. They last forever. They do make a lot of dong, as Korean calls them. Dong is, poop, but that's what they call like when you put a pen and it like kind of bleeds a bit. So that way they're not a good quality pen. Like I'm not saying it's a great quality, but for the feel of it, like the knowing that you don't need to care about what happens to this pen and how cheap it is, they're the best pens in the world. And like I said, they've never paid me a cent, but that's the kind of advertising you'll see me do in videos, is stuff that the companies don't have to pay me because I just do it for free. Yeah, these are great pens. Because I always do that, I'd have to find something that I don't already promote. I got a microphone once, not this one, but I got a different microphone once from the company Rode that I mentioned in a video. I said, hey, I got these mics. They didn't pay me, but I just really like their mics. I contacted them. I'm like, hey, can you send me a microphone? Because I like your products. I just can't afford a microphone. So they sent me, I don't use them anymore because that was like my old videos in like 2015 or something. But they sent me at the time a microphone, and it was great. I used it for a few years. So that's something I could do. Maybe I could contact a company and be like, you want to send me a camera? Anyway, that's enough for today. Thanks everyone for coming. I won't do the whole thing. Thanks for coming. No. Thanks everyone for coming. And hold on, did I get a... yeah, my kid's still a bit sick. He got sick before the weekend, but he's still kind of sick. We took him to the doctor today, but he's still got a fever. It's nothing serious, I think, but it's just going on for a long time. All right, see you guys later.